Hi, my name is Michelle Stewart, and I work for the Niagara region as a wastewater treatment operator. Here at the Port Weller wastewater treatment plant close to Sunset Beach, we treat water that's from parts of Thorold, St. Catharines, and Niagara-on-the-Lake. This plant is capable of treating 136 million liters of water a day. That's a lot of water. In this presentation, I'm going to show you how we take the wastewater from this to this. Let's go have a look. Wastewater enters our plant through a series of pipes called the collection system. It comes in through a channel like this one, and then it's off to screening. Large debris commonly found in the wastewater can damage our equipment, so it's important that we remove it. Just like when you remove the water from your pasta at home, we do that here when we remove all of the debris with our screening. We have step screens that remove the water by stepping up any debris that is in the wastewater as it comes through the influent channel. It's important that we dispose of that properly. In order to do so, it goes into a system that compresses it, sends it through a chute, and into our disposal. Besides what you already might know goes down your sink, your toilet, some other things can show up here that you might not expect. Things like 2x4s, branches, bricks. Operators have even found false teeth and wedding rings. Come, take a look. Screening and grit are a part of what is called preliminary treatment. Preliminary treatment comes before all other treatment steps. After we remove the small, heavy, stone-like pieces called grit, it's off to the primary clarifiers. Primary clarifiers do most of the work to remove settleable solids. Settleable solids are just what they sound like. Solids that come together and settle out of the water, falling to the bottom all on their own. If you've ever gone to the beach, filled up a bucket with water, and seen that there's some dirt that will fall to the bottom, while other dirt remains in the water to make it seem a little cloudy. That cloudy water has what we call suspended and dissolved solids in it. That's our goal with these primary clarifiers, is to get the water to the point where it's just the cloudy stuff that will move on. Anything that floats on top, anything that settles to the bottom, our bridges will help remove that from the water, so that cloudy water can move on to the next step called aeration. Let's go have a look. Aeration is the heart of the process, or as I like to call it, the gut. Just like your gut, this process has a microbiome full of good and bad bacteria. It's important that we balance that so that we can keep this process as healthy and produce a good effluent water that's clean and clear in the end. Okay, wait a minute. I know what you're thinking. Creepy, crawling, what did you say? But it's true. Tiny microscopic bugs are the workers in our plant. In fact, they work everywhere in life to decompose. Out in the lakes, the rivers, the streams, and even in you and me. What? Just like us, they are biological, and they need food and oxygen to survive. It's our jobs as operators to make sure that we give them the right amount. Depending on how much food is in the water, they will eat, and they'll make more bugs, which require more oxygen, and then those bugs will make more bugs requiring more food and oxygen before there's a lot of bugs in the water. In fact, given the right conditions, bugs can multiply at an alarming rate, doubling their numbers every 4 to 20 minutes in a process called exponential growth. In a single day, a plant like this one can produce up to 3,000 kilograms of bacteria in a single day. That's like making one truck or a white rhinoceros. Now, we've talked about how their food comes into the water, but how do we give them oxygen? If you look behind me, you'll see that we have mechanical aerators. There's different types of equipment that can do this, but this one helps toss the wastewater into the air so that it can pick up oxygen for the bugs. In conjunction with our equipment, we also conduct some important laboratory tests to make sure that our bugs are happy. Let's go have a look. Now, it is an operator's job to make sure that we balance the ratio of food to microorganisms. That's how much food is available for the bugs to eat versus how many bugs are at the table. If we don't maintain this properly, bug behaviors could change, and the water leaving the plant could be dirty. Feed them too little, and they can get a little hangry, becoming a bit like cannibals, eating each other. Feed them too much, and they can become slow and lazy, like couch potatoes. Bacteria work to decompose everywhere in life. It's nature's way of recycling. We intervene in a controlled setting to ensure success and speed things up. After all, as you saw, there is a lot of water to treat and only a small amount of time to do it. In order to do this, we have to maintain a sizable population of the right type of bugs. Let me show you. This is our microscope. We use it to look in on our bugs and see how they're doing. Bugs grow and favor certain types in the population, depending on their environment. The longer they are around, the more complex species we'll start to see. Species like free-floating ciliates show up first. They're small and tend to be like the kids in the group. They rush in super fast, eating everything, but they tend to leave a mess behind. Next, we have stalk ciliates. They're important as they're a little bit bigger, and we need the bigger ones to kind of clean up the mess of the last ones. These stalk ciliates are a bit like teenagers, though. They don't really move anywhere, and they like their food to come to them. That's why we have rotifers. Rotifers tend to be like the adults of the group. They move around a little bit more. They're not afraid to work for their food. Rotifers have some really neat features that you can see under the microscope. They have two hair-like structures on their heads that vibrate and resemble circular saws. They have internal digestive systems similar to animals. In fact, they're considered to be animals. Speaking of animals, one of my favorite advanced species is the water bear. It's called a water bear because it looks like a bear. This can be clearly seen in an electron microscope image. This slow-moving guy is incredible. He can survive all kinds of different climates, different temperatures, even space. If you haven't heard of these guys before, be sure to look them up. Finally, there are worm-like species like nematodes. We'd prefer not to see these guys. If we do, it means that we're holding on to things too long in the tanks. These common indicator species can help tell us if we have our timing right and if we need to adjust things. If we move too much one way or the other with our indicator species, we could upset things, causing for the water that's leaving the plant to be dirty. After aeration, our bug water mixes with the chemical and comes to what's called the secondary clarifiers. At the secondary clarifiers, the water comes through a center channel and then hits a wall, and this slows the water down so that the particulate that's left in the water can come together and move to the bottom of the clarifier. It's allowed to settle out, just like in our primaries. The clean water then comes from the top, flows over some weirs, and heads to our final effluent. After our water leaves our secondary clarifiers, it comes to our contact chamber here to get disinfected. We use something called sodium hypochlorite to disinfect the water, but you might know it better as chlorine. It's also used in pools. Disinfection is our final stage. We want to inactivate any leftover bugs that might have made their way through the process. We don't want any of these bugs to go swimming with you and your parents at the beach. So we inactivate them using the chlorine. But then we have to do something with that chlorine, because the chlorine, if it's released into the environment, can cause fish kills. And we don't want to negatively impact the ecosystem. So we use another chemical called sodium bisulfite to negate the chlorine in the water. Then the water is safe to send out to the environment. I hope you all learned something valuable today about how we clean your wastewater so that it's safe to return to the environment.